Okay, now we've moved outside of the realm of the national beers, for the most part, and we're into the I guess the new beers, craft beers, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I was talking about Tokyo Black. I don't know a lot about this. I didn't do any research because, again, I just like to drink. And I like this one because I like dark beers.
Mm.
And I was saying the person on the beer can is rather interesting. He could be either a sumo wrestler, predominantly a sumo. Would you say it's a sumo wrestler?
I think it's a sumo wrestler pose, I would say.
Yeah. Because he's wearing a fundoshi. A fundoshi is a loincloth.
Mm.
But he could also be a laborer from the Edo period, a traditional labor. Edo period, 1603 to 1868, 1867. It was very common because in the summertime, as we know who have been here during the summer, how hot and humid it is. What do you think about Tokyo summers?
It's getting worse every year. Clearly,
Oh, yeah.
Clearly is. Yeah.
Well, 2018, though, just a side note, was one of the worst.
Oh,
I've
no,
ever
that was
seen.
awful.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. I forget, it's even got a Wikipedia entry.
Yeah.
It was just that bad. Like, record number of ambulances called in one day happened in July of 2018. And then that record number was broken 1 week later by an extra 100 or 200 ambulances.
Absolutely nuts.
So anyway, but traditional laborers
He's in the freezer because they're warming up. Sorry, continue, please.
would wear sometimes only a fundoshi. And if you know anything about Japanese festivals, there's a lot of festivals called Hadaka Matsuri.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Hadaka Matsuri?
I've heard of it. I don't know quite what it means, but yeah.
Oh, Hadaka means naked.
Oh, Hada. Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
However, it's a misnomer because they're not actually naked. They wear, as I say, they wear the fundoshi and nothing else. But they still call it Hadaka Matsuri, and there's many of them. Of course, most of the time in winter, not in summer when they should be.
Right. Big one in Okinawa, isn't it, I think?
Oh, yeah. No, I went to that one.
You covered that one?
Yeah.
Right.
Saidai Ji, Eyo Hadaka Matsuri, something, where, half-naked men in February tussle with each other for some lucky chopsticks. But the fundoshi was very popular with laborers in the Edo period, especially those that would transport people to and from Edo by Kago.
Right, by the thingamajiggy, yes.
Yeah, the palanquin.
The thingamajiggy.
Yeah, the thingamajiggy. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. All right.
Let's
cool.
Go
Kampai. So, Tokyo Black.
It's black. It's from Tokyo.
Yes. All right. First impressions. Have you had this one before? No. I've had it several times.
No, I have not. No, yeah, I haven't.
So for me, it's it's old school. I've had this for the last 2, maybe 3 years. So it's a decent black beer for me. Bitter.
It is bitter.
Yeah.
It is bitter. It's like staring into the void. No, it's got a charm though. Like I like the aftertaste. That's all right. I'm not going to get too strong. That's right. Yeah, it'll do.
It'll do. Yes.
I definitely prefer this to like a really strong IPA. Something like that. Like it's not, it's not a brick to the face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We've been talking about a lot of the national brews. The craft beer has been catching on more and more in Japan.
Yeah.
And you can find a lot of regional craft beers now, like Koeido, I think, is one of those.
Right.
In modern times, there's this kind of view of uniformity of Japan that even Japanese themselves will put forward, like, we Japanese.
Right.
Or Japan. But you find that the more you dig into the country, you find, like, there's a lot of regional differences.
Goodness, yeah, we touched on it earlier when we were talking about the Meiji Ishin. We were talking about that sort of tributary system, or that kind of like exchange of law thing. There was definitely like a very concerted effort in the Meiji Ishin to uniform Japan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know?
Because they realized they were behind the European powers.
Right.
I said in the 1500s and even the 1600s, when they closed off the country,
Yeah.
they were still on par with those European powers, except sea power.
Right.
But they didn't really care about that. However, by 1850s, when Commodore Perry showed up, they went, "Holy crap, we are so far behind."
Yeah.
And there was this race to modernization.
I think it started in the Edo period, but it's really finished off in the Meiji Ishin, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well no, the Meiji period is the huge modernization. Like it's almost like sometimes people call it the Meiji miracle.
Right.
How
I mean, it was impressive. Yeah.
yeah,
Gotta give them that. Gotta give them that,
to go from where they were to becoming a more modern country, and then in 1905 taking on the Russians.
Yeah.
The Russo-Japanese War.
Yeah, pretty amazing victory. You know,
Yeah.
where like that time period of like how fast and how hard they industrialized. It was
And
like,
a lot of that was like Russell's book talks about is bringing in foreigners to say, okay, bring us up to speed, and at the same time sending their own out to Europe, to America, and say, okay, find out what they know.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, like, we're just drinking beer, but this beer has this history of trying to bring Japan into the modern world as we know it in the late 19th century.
Yeah, yeah.
It is interesting that beer plays I would say a significant part. Because think about it now, like we've been in Japan for quite some time. Think about like how much beer is a part of Japanese society.
I was going to say, like, it's inseparable now.
Yeah.
You know,
and beer is associated with happy times.
Yeah.
If we go to Hanami, we have beer. If we go to karaoke, we have beer. We go to izakaya. Well, of course, izakaya. Beer and sushi go really well.
Does it? Yeah.
Oh,
I don't eat sushi, so I don't know. Yeah.
What?
I'm allergic to seafood, man. I can't eat seafood.
You're from an island.
I know.
He's from an island. Britain. How are you allergic to seafood? You're surrounded by seafood.
Yeah. Doesn't help.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. Like America, I can understand. Like if you're from, Iowa,
right? So my allergy to seafood wasn't caused by my proximity to fish. That's not how allergies work.
I'm just. It's like occasionally you do run across Japanese who don't like seafood or are allergic to seafood, and you're like, my God,
Right? No,
you were born. Cosmically, you were like. It's a cosmic practical joke. Let's have this person born in an island.
Yeah, I mean, but it's so easy to avoid in the UK. It's very hard to avoid in Japan.
Okay,
I have to be very careful of
Yeah.
how I eat, you know, and because I tend to put fish in lots of things that I do.
So you don't like maguro, is what you're saying?
No. No, I don't.
Willie.
It's generally the worst country to live in with a seafood allergy.
Oh God,
I'll put that,
yeah.
Right.
Or just
Which is why I have this quite large kitchen, so I can cook for myself.
Or to be a vegetarian as well.
That's getting easier, I think, isn't it?
Well, yeah, now it is, but for a long time, especially
it's impossible.
Oh yeah, especially like during the bubble and so on, it was very difficult. I don't go further back because I mean in the Meiji era when foreigners were coming over here, nobody was a vegetarian in the 19th century.
No.
But in the 80s, that started becoming more of a thing.
Right.
But in the 80s and 90s, foreigners who came over here who were vegetarian had a very hard time. Because they'd always say, oh, this is vegetarian. By the way, we have pork in it. That's not vegetarian.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the main thing is vegetarian. Yes, but you added pork to it.
Yeah, sometimes like veggie means like kind of like extra vegetables.
Yeah.
Which is a trip. Yeah, like one of the people I work with closely, he's a sort of a vegan, flexible vegan because you have to be here. But yeah, he's just like what, like
But it was strange. Like before the Meiji period, there wasn't a lot of meat consumption.
No, there wasn't. No, there's mostly fish and vegetables. Wasn't
Yeah,
really
and it's just strange that again one of the modernization things they became very much consumers of meat, poultry. I mean, they were eating poultry before, but I mean even more so. Yakitori, and then of course we had the whole Kobe beef, Wagyu
Wagyu, yeah.
Wagyu and so on. That's become now so much a part of Japanese.
Oh yeah, and it's really affected like the height of people.
Yes,
and stuff like people used to think it was a genetic thing. Japanese people being short. Like I'm talking like way back in the day. I'm talking like World War II level.
Yeah,
you know, kind of understanding Japanese people are short. Like when I'm interacting
my first boss
yeah
was over 6 foot.
Yeah.
And so I was immediately, the short Japanese stereotype was blown out of the water. Because I'm like going, oh, hey.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, who says the Japanese? Because the whole time I've been living in Japan, it doesn't even occur to me.
Right.
About size. Which is funny whenever I go back home and people try to bring up, like, oh, are you like a giant over there? And I'm like, no, like my first Japanese girlfriend was, I think, like an inch or two taller than I was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely like, I was looking.
But I had an inch or two on her. Anyway.
Sorry, I'm just going to take a drink so I can...
Oh, we should start on our next beer.
Oh, yes, yeah, sorry, I'm bringing him out, And we're back.
Yes. Now, here, we're kind of going back and forward. Orion is one of the classic national beers. Now, when I say national, there's a lot of caveats.
Yeah.
There. Because we're talking about Okinawa, and it's like, you know, Okinawa, Japan, has had a turbulent history, if we may.
That's it. So yeah, it is a Japan. So it is an Okinawan beer company, but it's distributed through Asahi. Basically, so if you look there, it's actually got the Asahi logo on it.
Okay.
So basically, that's the distribution network
it does,
which they use.
Yeah. But like Okinawa was brought into the Japanese sphere not by choice, but the region Satsuma, which is now today Kagoshima Prefecture, they took over Okinawa, or Ryukyu. That's the original name. Ryukyu.
Yeah, Kingdom of Ryukyu, wasn't it? Yeah, right.
They took it over in 1609. And basically it became part of Japan by default because it's part of the Satsuma province.
Right.
Then the Meiji period, which we've been mentioning a lot, they dissolved the kingdom. So the kings of Ryukyu continued under the Satsuma dominion. But in the Meiji period, that royal line was dissolved.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, like I went to the I've forgotten the actual Japanese name for the red castle. Basically, a lot of buildings in Okinawa are kind of like sort of terracotta red, and they have this red castle. It burnt down about 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, you're talking about Shuri Castle?
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I went there just before it burned down.
Oh, did you? Okay, fantastic.
Not that correlates in any way.
Yeah, you're on our side.
I was not responsible. I was out. I was off the island when it burned.
But yeah, you can see the original like crown. Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. I saw the same thing. Yeah, because when you go into Shuri Castle, they show you the remnants of the Ryukyu kingdom.
Yeah, and the big like sort of stamp thing they had.
Yes.
Which I think that was actually there was a Japanese one and a Chinese one, depending on the tributary of like kind of like which gave them authorization.
Yeah, well, mainly from China, because before 1609, Ryukyu Okinawa was it was a tributary of China, but you know, with tributary of China, it wasn't mean like China exactly owned them. Though they did send some officials there.
Yeah.
It was just the Chinese way of doing things. Like Ryukyu was a semi-autonomous, or almost autonomous.
But it was doubled up on tributaries, weren't they? Because they were paying tributary to Satsuma and they were paying tributary to China
after
as well.
1609.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
cool.
There we go.
Oh yeah, cheers. Yeah.
But this Orion though is not the regular Orion. It's called Southern Star.
It's a little sharper than Orion.
Yeah.
By the way, we say Orion.
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 Sorry.
Well, you can say Orion. It's spelled Orion.
Yeah, that's true. I say Orion. Yeah.
Yeah. The Japanese pronounce it Orion. Yeah. But I've got quite a lot of respect for this company actually because there's
Do tell.
a type of like chuhai they would do, which is kind of an alcopop, a fruity drink, which they have in Okinawa, and the company actually said because it's so cheap and because it's so easy to drink, they thought it was contributing to the levels of alcoholism in the island. So they said they would withdraw it and not longer and focus on beer.
Okay.
Like they made some kind of like ethical decision to not do that, which I thought was quite interesting.
A company making an ethical decision.
Yeah.
Wow, what a concept!
Yes.
This sounds like science fiction.
Right? Yeah, very cheap. Sort of 140 yen, kind of sort of 8% kind of like sort of fruity alcohol.
Yeah.
They thought it didn't represent their company well, so they decided not to do it.
Well, I can imagine like Okinawa
Yeah.
after World War II, depression had to be very high.
Okinawa's interesting because it's like, and I grew up in a similar kind of sort of region in the UK, which was which was kind of reliant on tourism. And one of the things that you get from places which are reliant on tourism is that most of the jobs are seasonal. So you don't have people with all year long income, and people don't think about it because it looks very nice. They keep the nice places looking nice. But you wander off in Okinawa, there's a lot of places which don't have a roof because it's been blown off by a typhoon and there just isn't the money to replace it. And there's a lot of like structural damage to a lot of buildings. There's a lot of alcoholism as well. You see a lot of like blokes who have been on, out in the sun and dipped in the sake for quite a while. You get an impression that this is not an economically stable place. Yeah. Very quickly, if you get off of like the Kokuseidori, the main kind of strip of it on Naha, in the main city, and it was like, I was just impressed that a company kind of like responded to that.
That is,
bit,
yeah. Like I said, Okinawa Ryukyu has had a tough history.
Yeah.
Both with Japan and World War II.
Yeah.
And the occupation following, and the continual military bases. That is a sore issue because Japan decides on those military bases.
Tokyo decides.
Tokyo. Yeah.
This is where lays the problem. It's a weird one because there is.
Well, that's like when we were talking about earlier. With no. I was just gonna say, echoing back to Hokkaido.
Yeah.
Okinawa, Hokkaido. Whew, definitely very.
And he definitely did a number on the sort of Okinawan /Ryukyu language as well, and stamping down on that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they did with the Ainu in Hokkaido
exactly,
as well.
Same story.
Yeah. It's
It's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. And like, I mean, a lot of the Okinawan people that I've spoken to have said, like, basically being a bit fed up with being a political football. Like, because you got the intentions of the US bases and they expand the bases and this type of thing, and you've got Tokyo there, and it's just they kind of feel in between about it. You're not getting too sort of political. You kind of forget when you learn enough about Okinawan history. You sort of go, it's not really Japan.
Yeah, no. It has its own unique culture.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things I like about on this particular can of Southern Star is the lion dogs here, the Shisa. Yeah, well, that's what I said, shishi, because that's more like the Japanese, Chinese, or Korean. But
shisha, right, okay, yeah.
Shisha is kind of, I mean, of course, a lot of overall Southeast Asia takes a lot from China. And interprets it in their own way. So you see, the Chinese culture is very. It's kind of like the Roman culture for Europe.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah, but shisha is the Okinawan version, and it becomes its own unique thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Orion regular. I haven't had a Southern Star before. This is new to me.
No, it's new to me. It's an easy beer.
Sharper, yeah. I think I probably prefer the normal Orion.
Oh, okay.
Orion it's a little bit. It's a wet, cold sugar mess. It's nice. It's like it's very crisp, but it's a little sweeter. I think Orion, and it feels quite tropical. And it's like on a summer's day, Family Mart sell them. I think at the moment. Yeah. Other ones don't. But recently, Orion's become much wider available.
And in the beginning, I didn't realize they were Okinawan beers because I'd only gone to Okinawa for the first time actually in 2018.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I've been meaning to go.
Me as well, actually. Yeah. I'm not.
I've been meaning to go. I feel bad because I've been all around many places in Japan, but the plane prices to Okinawa, it was sometimes cheaper.
A more cheaper flame.
Area.
I hope you're getting all this.
Yes. It was sometimes almost equivalent to flying to Europe.
Yeah.
So it's strange. Like
it can be a peak. Yeah.
Sometimes when I've been since I've been in Japan, I have flown to Europe a number of times for certain events, just because it was cheaper than going to Okinawa.
Right.
But in 2018, I finally went, and I really loved Okinawa.
They're very chill people. I like Okinawans a lot. Yeah. It's definitely a place and a thing, and it's
when this plague ends, I certainly want to go back.
Should we do a thing to Okinawa? I think we should go to Okinawa.
Yes.
I think yes. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I'm dying to go back.
Oh yeah, it's a great place. And it's a beautiful place, and I think it's been misused in history.
Very much.
I think we should go back to saying Ryukyu, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, I should say, to make sure that's what they want to do.
If that's what they want, I somewhat agree. Okinawa's interesting because it was the last territory that the Americans officially gave up. It was under a protectorate.
Well, because the Battle of Okinawa was so hard fought, it was one of the reasons why they decided to drop the atomic bomb. Ooh, now we're getting really dark.
God, we're getting into it, aren't we? Yes. Yeah.
Because of the Battle of Okinawa, it was thought these people will fight tooth and nail. But in Japan, in 1940s, in this kind, in a weird way, like the modernization of Japan was both a boon and a curse because it focused so much on the emperor. And even though the emperor was an exalted position for a very, very long time, there was not really the fanaticism that we think of in World War II era.
Right.
Did not exist. And because there were people that deposed emperors. Not technically deposed, because they wouldn't take over the emperor's position. That was a big difference between other countries.
Yeah.
It
was sacrosanct in some sense.
Oh yes, very much so.
Right.
But you have Ashikaga Takeuchi in 1336 drove out the reigning emperor Go-Daigo.
Alright.
And then he installed Go-Daigo's cousin as the new emperor, and you had what is known as the Namboku-cho, the two courts.
Oh, yes, I've heard about this.
Yeah. And it's very...
you usurp the power, not the throne.
Yeah.
That's basically the idea, right?
And so Takeuchi did not become the next emperor.
Right.
Because if he did that, that would have caused massive waves in society.
Keep that line.
So instead, it's no, I will choose someone from the imperial family, and they will become emperor. But he's the one.
Yeah, probably someone young and malleable.
Yeah. But Takeuchi was the one, basically calling the shots. But the Meiji period, it became definitely a cult of the emperor. And so in Okinawa, it was this fear that if we invade the mainland, that it would just be monumental casualties on both sides.
Yes. Yeah, it was...
Anyway.
Yeah. On a lighter note.
On a lighter note, I like this
fine
beer.
drink you can
yes,
enjoy.
Orion, the regular beer, and the Southern Star. I quite like this.
I really like this design, actually. Yeah, like we'll probably have a still of this, but I love these two shisa here.
Yes, yes.
The shisa designs you see are so cool.
Yeah.
Right?
They're all over Okinawa. Yeah, I love it. Now to go from all the way in the south. Now we're gonna go back north. This is another beer. I've never had this beer.
I've never recognized this.
Abashiri Brewery.
Abashiri.
Yeah. Abashiri is in Hokkaido.
We're doing great.
But it was interesting. I've been to Abashiri twice, actually.
Uh-huh.
It's one of the most northern places in Hokkaido. I went there in February as part of the Sapporo Yuki Matsuri, the snow festival. In February, the beginning of February, Sapporo has a snow festival where they build these gigantic snow sculptures, and they keep them up for about a week. Yeah, have you been there? Oh man, it's I definitely.
I've seen images. It looks really nice.
Oh yeah, I've been 3 times. I love it so much. And 2 of the times I went, I also decided to go up to Abashiri to see the what they call Ryukyo, which is the drift ice.
Oh.
It's the sea ice, drift ice that comes from the Russian side down. You take a ship, a little cruise liner, out about an hour, and then hopefully, if you're lucky, you see the sea ice.
And let's have some of this
All right.
sea ice stuff. Yeah, let me do you first because you've been,
Okay.
You've been doing that, yeah. Cool.
But the sea ice is really cool.
It's blue.
Oh my god, you're right.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
I just went completely mental.
Huh?
It's
Holy
blue.
cow.
It's blue. It's a blue beer.
Wait, there is alcohol in this, right?
It says Osaka, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, speaking of
Anyway,
awful things,
blue beer. Blue beer from Abashiri in Hokkaido. Maybe it's drawing like an allusion to the sea ice.
Right.
All right. Well,
Right. The Nashu Draj, which means to friendship.
okay.
I think. It's a white beer.
Yeah.
It's very like rice beer, isn't it?
Yes.
It's kind of a white beer taste.
Yeah.
It's not so cloudy.
There's not much taste to it actually.
Is it slightly minty? Is that entirely
I
my
would say
imagination?
there is a.
I'm not
tad
mental
bit
for saying that.
Yeah. No. I definitely agree. Yeah. It's like.
I'd like to say I hate it. I really, really want to say
I'm not sure.
I
what to make.
don't hate it. Okay, it does have a little. Okay, so do this with me. Like
It is a 5% beer.
Okay, take a sip.
Alright.
Okay, and then breathe in. Is that not a little bit mouth-washy?
Yes, you are correct.
There is there's a mouthwash element to
Yeah.
this beer.
Yeah.
Maybe connected with the color, which is very much mouthwash.
Yeah. Yeah, it does look like I'm drinking Scope or Listerine.
Right.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't hate it. So I'm trying to translate the ingredients on
Oh,
this,
okay, yeah,
'cause
sure.
I thought that might be interesting.
Another point of Abashiri is they have a prison up there. There was also going back to the Meiji period. And if you know anything about Hokkaido, it's the exact opposite of Okinawa, being not tropical, but primarily tundra.
I discovered.
So for many people, Abashiri is famous for its prison.
Right.
If you ask Japanese people, they'll say, and it's now a museum that you can go to.
Okay, right. So I this is Hapshu. I suspected. I suspected. We've fallen into the trap.
This is Hapushu.
This is Hapshu.
Oh my god.
We're not drinking beer now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have fallen to Hapushu. Low malt beer.
I noticed this kanji here, and I thought.
But
that
it's 5%. I'm surprised.
Yeah. It's.
It, in a way,
Which sort of makes sense that they can make
the
it
minty
blue.
flavor
Yeah, it might have been a giveaway.
it's to disguise.
So I was listening to you, but I was also trying to process that happening.
No, that's fine.
That's the thing that happened. I went.
As
I think that
as I
makes
said,
up for you.
professional alcoholics in Japan.
Yeah.
We definitely try to avoid hapushu if we can help it, because
I don't hate it.
it's
like if I'd like some mouthwash, but I'd also like a beer. It's a nice.
I saw
You're
it
getting blue lips.
Oh my god!
You are actually getting blue lips.
What the hell? I saw it just because it was a Hokkaido thing, and there was a whale on it. Of course, that's another. Like we've touched on so many controversial issues. Shall we talk about whaling?
Let's talk about whaling.
Oh yes, why not?
I have nothing against whaling, but I feel uncomfortable my tax being used to subsidise it. Just from a purely capitalist point of view, it's not an awesome industry. It's not killing it.
Well, what's interesting about whaling,
I think it's warm now anyway, so I'm gonna lose it. But
is the right wingers try to make it sound like, it's traditional Japan. We've always been whaling. It's like
you lot suggested it, wasn't it?
Yes,
MacArthur. I mean the Americans. Right.
MacArthur. I mean, they were whaling before World War II, but But it really stepped into gear when MacArthur, after World War II.
Yeah, not enough meat, not enough imports, blah, blah, blah. Like, can't be relying on imports, that's difficult. So do whatever you can in the country. You got whales, do that thing. Makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's still... And what I think it is, whaling industry is one of those things where the only reason it still exists is because people that are in the whaling industry are friends with people in the government, and say, "Look, throw us some kickback. We'll sell it at some of these places." Have you had whale?
Yeah, once.
My God,
I think. Yeah, no, I did at one point. It was fine.
You are a disgusting human being. I hope you rot in hell.
But anyway, it's a mammal, so I can eat it. It's not seafood. Yeah,
I've had whale just to see what it was like. It doesn't really,
It's nothing to write home about.
No. I could, especially when you have so much a plethora of other things you can eat.
Yeah.
When I understand, like the post-war youth. They don't really have a fond memory of whale because it was in their lunch meat, of all things. And they just remember it being really rubbery.
Right.
And so it's a strange thing when they try to push whale onto the Japanese public. That particular generation is just like,
Take it or leave it. Yeah. It's like not something I'm dying for. It's probably our relationship with spam, really.
Maybe so, And it's like the whaling industry, I feel, is just propped up by the government. If they were to go, sorry.
Sorry, guys. Little bit of a rant on this one. So, like, my thing about it's like it's not my place to tell the Japanese what to do and what not to do.
No, sure. I was like,
That being said, like, it's like if they believe this is culturally important to Japan, if there's actual volition in that, then make it legal.
Yeah.
And do it openly on the open market and let the open market decide. Don't pretend it's research meat. And fluff around the issue about it.
After all the whales we've killed, we found that
they make these fake studies to kind of like do it.
They all eat krill.
Yeah, just go. We're Japanese. We want a whale. We're gonna do it. Do it, and then like the
market. At least like the Norwegians and Icelanders don't make any pretense. They're like, we just want to, we just want to eat them.
Just have an honesty about it. I would.
But I think that's why I think it's more of a bureaucracy thing. That if they were to, the worst thing would be if they were to go commercial. Is it would fail.
Exactly, and it would. It would fail. That's the problem. It's being
so the only thing propping it up is the whole, controversy, research, whatever.
I think so.
Because they're getting money from the government.
Open market, they will go, actually, we quite like pork bacon. Way more than like whale bacon.
Exactly.
They wouldn't be able to fucking shift it. And that, it's the kind of...
because like I said, the older generation doesn't have that fond of a memory of their rubbery school lunches. And the younger generation doesn't really care. They're happy with chicken, beef, salmon, and so
Yeah.
on. And so they know if they actually were to just drop the pretense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a fear on the environmentalist side
Eat some lovely salami here.
that Japan will go whale crazy and just start harvesting whales like there's no tomorrow. But the reality is,
Wouldn't shift it.
it wouldn't. They would just find whale meat in very low demand, and all those companies or whatever companies that are existing right now would collapse almost overnight. So it's only by the government supporting them that they're able to. But they have to they still have to maintain this kabuki theater.
Yes, it is full on kabuki.
Yeah. Kabuki theater of pretending to want to legalize whaling, but actually no, because the last thing, if we legalized it, we would be bankrupt. So we gotta keep the government money coming towards us.
I mean, you feel my frustration that my tax money is being used to support this industry, which is never going to be successful. It's there's an annoyance there.
Well,
beyond the animal rights stuff, beyond that, it's just can we put that to farmers, actual proper farmers who produce food that people want to eat?
Yeah.
That would be a nice way of using my tax money.
And when people talk about culture and all that, my country, whaling was a huge industry.
Right.
One of our first novels, Moby Dick. Early American culture. It's funny if you tell this to Americans now, they don't really conceive it, but early American culture was very much centered around whaling, especially the seaport towns on the east and west side.
Right.
In fact, part of the reason that Commodore Perry went to Japan to open it up, and this is where the irony upon irony is that he wanted to have a place where American whalers could come for resupply.
Oh, wow.
So American whaling was part of the reason for the Americans wanting Japan to open up.
Wow.
Yeah. At this point, the audio, unfortunately, or fortunately, cut out, but we were too far gone to notice it. I'm sure we had solved world peace and a number of other crucial problems, but sadly those answers are forever lost, like most bar discussions which reach similar conclusions. Our last beer was an IPA called Japanese Spirit Beer, which I got mainly for the Mount Fuji scenery on the can. I recall the beer was decent, but it was difficult to give it an accurate assessment, being the last of 10 beers and after the mintiness of the Abashiri one. Overall, I would say the beers we had are decent beers that you can't go wrong with. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, they're the beers that you will encounter often if you go drinking in Japan. But I wouldn't advise drinking 10 different beers in one session. Anyway, cheers. This is Ronin Dave. Click on the icon bell and all that other good stuff. Thanks for watching.